Okay, so I am so excited for this video because I've been wanting to do it for a long time, except I didn't have all the information. I couldn't find the information, but I was talking with my boyfriend and he found it, so he saved the day. I was getting so frustrated because it seemed like everywhere I went, I was finding uh, websites that would just copy and paste Wikipedia, and I hate that. Stop doing that. But because now, if you remember, first of all, of course, this year is the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu, and I said at the beginning of the year that I would make videos dedicated to the 100th anniversary. And of course, I did the silent film critique and I did the video for the video game from the 90s, and then it just stopped. I have been doing things behind the scenes, like researching for a video dedicated to Max Schreck. And here we are. Oh, it was driving me nuts because I didn't just want to settle on Wikipedia. I hate doing that. Sometimes I have to. I didn't want to. So now there are German words. I'm sorry in advance if I butcher. I feel really bad when I butcher the language, so I do apologize in advance. So, but so Max Schreck, the gentleman, not the Batman character. Oh my gosh, that was another thing that I ran into a lot. I'm like, no, I don't want a fictional character. I want the German actor. So, the gentleman that gave us this iconic character. Let's talk about him because first of all, ask yourself with knowing his name, do you know any other movie that he did? Because I didn't. I'm just going to put that out there. I really didn't. And he actually has quite the filmography. So, so let's talk about Max Schreck. Now, his birth name is Frederick Gustav Maximilian Schreck. Professionally, he's known as Max Schreck. Oh, now he was born September 6th, 1879 in it says Berlin Friedenau. It's already starting. I looked it up uh, and I'm guessing it's just like a region in Berlin. Those of you who live in Germany, you can of course explain. I'd rather you did instead of me trying to, the dumb American trying to explain it. Oh, goodness. So now, at a young age, he showed an interest in acting. He wanted to be an actor as young. It doesn't say exactly what age he wanted, but his dad said, "You're not going to be, no, that's not going to happen. Not in this house." That ain't happening. However, his mom would secretly fund acting lessons behind her husband's back. So, go mom. Now, it doesn't say exactly when his father died. Uh, I'm guessing when he was a teenager. I also couldn't find when his mother died. I would be willing to bet that she was his support system throughout his acting career until she passed away. whenever that was. I couldn't find anything. If you know, please let us know. But when his father died, he attended drama school, and he was able to travel all over Germany. And there aren't very many pictures that show him in drama classes, in the School of Drama, or even in his early acting career. So, which is too bad, because the few that I was able to find are quite striking. I mean, he was, um, I wish there were more. That's just the bottom line. I wish there were a lot more. Now, he caught the interest of Max Reinhardt, again, I'm sorry, as well as Otto Falkenberg, two big names at the time in theater. Now, it says that he uh, would, um, he had engagements. That was the wording that it had, that Schreck had engagements for Max Reinhardt as well as Otto. Now, for Max Reinhardt, these engagements were in Berlin. And then for Otto, they were in Munich at the Kammerspiel Theater. He became a regular at this theater between 1919 and 1922. His debut on stage was in a play titled Drums of the Night. He played a freak show landlord. And I'm pretty sure that's where it all started, with the grotesque type, oddball type characters, which, are we complaining? No. And um, as it turns out, Max Reinhardt really liked Schreck's acting ability. Really, really liked his ability, to the point where in 1920 he actually introduced Schreck to F.W. Murnau in 1920. As it turns out, while he was acting on stage, he also decided to shift into cinema and try his hand at film. And his debut on the silver screen was a film titled The Mayor of Zalamea. That one was a stage to film. So, and that was in 1920. That was released in 1920. After that, it was a film titled Death is a Witness. And so he was going back and forth between stage uh, and film, and doing quite well. And then, of course, you have Nosferatu. Something I read about him is people who knew him said that he was kind of a loner. And he had an unusual sense of humor, and he had an unusual skill for portraying these grotesque characters and everything. But there was something else that caught my eye that just really bothered me. And it said here that he also this there was one friend that said he reported that that Shrek lived in a remote and incorporeal world, and that that Shrek. Okay, let me try this again because I feel like I butchered all that. Okay, so this friend says that Max Schreck lived in a remote and incorporeal world, and that Shrek often spent time walking through forests. Um, so basically, he walked around in a fantasy world and didn't live in reality. Uh, it also says that there were rumors at the time of Nosferatu and for many years afterwards that Shrek did not actually exist and was a pseudonym for a well-known actor named Alfred Abel. I have a problem here because I don't know that Max was actually a loner. I mean, if people are going around saying that he doesn't exist, why would he want to hang around people? I wouldn't want to. If people are claiming that I don't exist, why would I want to interact with you? Look, I have an odd sense of humor. You know, I have a dark sense of humor and all that. I mean, I enjoy Monty Python and a lot of and some of those other, you know, like Young Frankenstein and those. But if I played a character like that, you know, if I were uh playing characters like this and people were to actually say that I didn't exist, I would I wouldn't want to be around people. That's insane. I mean, like, so yeah, I don't believe that he's a loner at all. He probably just said, "Oh, well, you're saying that about me. Why would I hang out with you?" The other interesting thing that I uh, found out was that when, you know, because we all know about Nosferatu, uh, and how it with you know the it's a knockoff of Bram Stoker. I mean, they didn't really have permission, and they did as much possible to tweak it so that you know and all that stuff. And of course, Bram Stoker's widow went after them and all of that. So with all the problems that were going on with Nosferatu, as it turns out, people actually thought that Max Schreck was a vampire because of his performance. It's not real. Uh, what next? Did people actually think that Bela Lugosi was? I, I love Bela Lugosi. I really do. Did they think that I, did they think that Christopher Lee was? So like when he goes on the Star Wars set, did they freak out? They had a massive freak out, I'm sure. That's just insane. It, oh my heavens. I just okay, I can't be too upset because of it was still the era of superstition. So I can't be too upset. I can't make fun of him too much because of all that. So I do have to retract what I was just saying. But it's still it's just weird. Because if you're it was all face makeup. He didn't have the prosthetics. I think that he was something I don't know. That's like saying that Lon Chaney, I will use all the references, like Lon Chaney. He was known as the man of a thousand faces. Like, what? I don't know. So I read that and I'm just sitting there like, they really thought that? Here's the other thing. As it turns out, his last name, Schreck, actually translates to terror. Okay, I get it a little more, but still, he had the prosthetics on it. His fingers didn't really look like that. I don't know. Again, it was. And another thing that one of the other articles said was that, they were pulling out of the war. You got to realize that the war hadn't been too long ago. Plus, there was the influenza pandemic and everything. So there was a lot that had gone on. So the imagination runs wild. But still, I feel for Max having to deal with all that. And when they're trying to say that he just doesn't exist, he's not a loner. He just doesn't want to deal with people after that. Right? Right. That's right. No, yeah, I would go out in the forest and just walk around, just not want to, just just calm, tranquil. Just this is yeah. I don't blame him. I really don't. Oh, good heavens. I've never related to someone so much. I like going and walking in the forest. It's peaceful. Now, after Nosferatu, after all of that, he really didn't want to do drama. I mean, he really didn't want to do horror anymore. I don't blame him after all that. Claiming that he didn't exist and all that nonsense. He gave us an iconic character, and that's wonderful. So, um, he did in 1923 a slapstick comedy known as Mystery of a Barbershop. I saw some of the screenshots for it. It's a little odd, but and yeah, it looks a little weird, but don't expect like the Charlie Chaplin type slapstick. Far from it. Yeah. And he also that same year there's a movie called The Street. He played a blind man. He was also in the first film adaptation of Merchant of Venice, which I forgot to look up who he played. I will check that out and put it in the description box. Yeah, I meant to look that up before I sat down to do this. And in 1926, he returned to theater. He was still appearing in film, so he was going back and forth and doing all that. So he also transitioned successfully to talkies. I actually found some clips of. I even found the last movie that he ever appeared in. So I will put those in the description box for you if you want to hear his voice. Um, he received excellent reviews for his lead role in The Miser, which is, from what I understand, one of the best films out there. I haven't seen it yet, so I couldn't say either way. And now, one thing I should mention, I meant to mention it earlier, is that he married a fellow actress. Uh, Her name is Fanny Norman. He married her in 1910, and she appeared in several movies with him. In fact, she appeared in Nosferatu, and she sometimes appears in credits as Fanny Schreck. So And now on February 19th, 1936, he filled in for a fellow actor named Will Daum in the play Don Carlos. He was playing the Grand Inquisitor, and he suddenly fell ill. And the next day, he passed away of heart failure. So on February 20th, 1936, Max Schreck passed away. As it turns out, he has only been portrayed once in pop culture, and it's in the movie Shadow of the Vampire. Willem Dafoe is the actor who plays him, and it gives the idea that Max Schreck is a vampire. It's uh going off of that idea. I've seen the movie. It's a good movie. And and so yeah, and of course we know the about the Batman character. I mean, look, I have the movies. I enjoy the movies, and Christopher Walken does a good job. But when you're trying to find information on the real Max Schreck, it is a little annoying. So yeah, I love Batman. Everybody has their personal favorite, so we're not gonna get into that. If you want to see a fight, go over to Cinnamon Toast Ken, where he and Pootie Pie have a fight about comic book characters and everything. But anyway, so that is Max Schreck, the actor who portrayed the iconic horror character known as Nosferatu or Count Orlok. He has actually an extensive acting career. I was impressed, and I felt ashamed that I didn't know it.